Hey boys and girls, welcome to another super exciting, outrageous toy review. I literally just woke up. I'm going to try and shoot this real quick before I go to work. But last night was the first episode of Power Rangers Hyperforce. What's Hyperforce? You've never heard of it? Well, it's an RPG, a role-playing game played live on twitch.tv/hyperrpg. So basically, someone has created a role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons or any of the other well-known role-playing games, and they've hired a group of actors to play the game on basically live TV, but Twitch, the internet. And the all-new Power Ranger team Hyperforce is based off of the lore of Power Rangers Time Force, which is one of the most popular seasons, and it's set far in the future, which kind of gives them a fun time period to play with, as well as not really having to mess with the continuity, even though this isn't, I guess, canon. They have Andre Meadows, the Black Nerd Comedy guy from YouTube. He's playing the Blue Ranger, Eddie. They have the guy that played Bulk on the original Power Rangers. He's playing the Yellow Ranger. The girl that played Jen from Time Force is back, reprising her role, at least for an episode or two. It sounds like they might bring in some other Power Ranger guests as they go through. And, the guy that plays Preston on current Power Rangers Ninja Steel, he is the Red Ranger on this team. I can't remember what his name is. With only seeing the one episode, I didn't get all the character names down. But it's a full team of 5 Rangers, and they're cadets pretty much, learning to be Time Force officers. And it was pretty interesting. The first episode had the school attacked internally by officers, sort of under control from an outside force. And so the Pink Ranger from Time Force was able to morph, and the rest of them were just sort of still civilians trying to get to the bottom of this. And just like a typical role-playing game, the characters would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna try and distract him with my jacket. I'm gonna take my jacket off and whip it, and try and knock the Chrono Blaster out of the bad guy's hand." And they'd have to roll a dice, and depending on how the die roll went, they would be successful or unsuccessful. So it was pretty interesting. I give the people at HyperRPG a ton of credit for putting this together. I mean, it must have taken forever just to get that one episode done, and apparently they've played several games to kind of learn how to do it, all of which, won't probably air, but that was to help make this first one be the best it can be. There were some things about it that, weren't perfect, but it's the first episode, and I'm sure it's going to continue to get better. Now, there wasn't a lot of Power Ranger-y stuff in this one besides the Pink Ranger, because they're still civilians, and I'm sure they want some space to grow. This definitely had way more story than a Power Ranger episode usually has, because if you think about it, by the time they have the bad guy come up with the monster, send the monster to Earth, the Rangers destroy it, they make it grow, and then the Megazord destroys it again, there's not a lot of room for plot per episode. So the amount of plot we get in a whole season of Power Rangers generally is not really that much. But this was like a 2-hour episode without Megazord fights, without, anything real crazy going on. So there was a lot of story. There's a lot of them trying to solve this mystery of what was causing these Time Force officers to, attack them and go crazy and stuff. So it was pretty interesting. I'll be honest, I didn't make it through the whole episode. It starts at 6 o'clock in California, but out here in Pennsylvania, that means it started at 9 o'clock. And I was watching up through like 11, and it still wasn't over. I thought it was supposed to be 2 hours, and I was dying at that point. I was just dozing off. I past my bedtime. So I missed the end of the episode. So maybe that makes it a bad review of the show. But I thought it was pretty good. Definitely worth giving it a shot. We'll see how the series goes. I'm hoping they make action figures of the Hyperforce Rangers. All we have is artwork, and there is a theme song, which is kind of cool. And, I can't wait to see more about it. I'd like to know what the Zords are. The helmets from Hyperforce have definitely, creature designs to them, similar to, maybe Mighty Morphin, and, a lot of the series where you can kind of tell what their Zords are based on that helmet. But, I've just seen, that one image they've released of it. So I can't wait to find out what the actual, Zords are, or the sources of their powers. But thanks for watching this super exciting, outrageous toy review. In the comments down below, let me know if you watched Hyperforce. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos.